People who are protecting the wildlife, people who are thinking about breaking the economical paradigm in Nature 2.0, the pension funds who want to build really sustainable solutions for the future, rethinking energy. Basically, we're rethinking everything here, and that's so cool.
I think this whole idea of collaboration and working together is really also pushing up against old institutions that typically don't work together, and I've seen that happen. The walls are breaking down, and many good things are happening from that.
And bringing such a different, diverse group of people together, I think 1,500 people working really together and collaborating, that's for sure a start of a transformation, so I believe in it.
Since 2017, over 3,000 people from all over the world have been gathering once a year in the Netherlands, in Groningen. These people are coming together for something that has become known as the Odyssey. It is a very diverse group of people, growing each year.
The energy, the number of people, the amount of help we get from the Jedis and from the organization and everything, it's something else.
The scale is just nuts. How many teams? You know, this variety is just incredible.
At the third edition in 2019, 100 teams and hundreds of experts from 30 countries worked on 20 complex challenges. These challenges have a major societal or environmental impact and involve many stakeholders. They simply can't be solved by one organization. These challenges can only be solved through mass collaboration.
In Holland, the government has been working with digitalization for a number of years, and this has resulted in a lot of legacy systems. So we're trying to solve that, and at the same time, trying to modernize fundamentally how we do government. So it's a really big challenge.
Challenge owners, mostly corporates, governments and scientific institutes, have brought a multitude of stakeholders to the table and prepared thoroughly.
What I really like about the hackathon is that the challenge owners have to think quite thoroughly about what the problem is they actually want to put to the teams. And that helps because they have to think about why is this such a hard problem? Why do we want it solved? Why do we need blockchain for this and stuff? And then it kind of forcing them to think about it also is better for the teams because they can be much more focused in their solutions.
All this preparation, as well as careful curation of all the teams and experts, culminates in a weekend where all parties involved are building working prototypes in only 48 hours. Apparently, solving complex challenges together is something that really excites people.
It's like a time warp. Typically, you would take maybe 3 months for a sprint or a PI, and now you do it, boom, within 2 or 3 or 4 days. All the bullshit gets taken aside. So the benefit of doing it fast is also that you need to focus. If you do not have focus, so first you diverge with all your ideas, but because of the time limit, you have to bring it really back into this 48 hours, say, okay, we won't do this, not this, this is it, this is the core, this is what it is about. Very powerful, extremely powerful.
There's people here helping from legal, tax structures, all the way to like tokenizing, anything, token economics, you name it, there's like the expertise is here. And so it's really nice to have people coming up to the table and not just talking to them, but actually helping us with our project. So I feel super supported by the entire community here.
In a nutshell, right, if you don't have people that have a ton of really sort of specific, precise domain expertise, you're only ever going to get general solutions. You're going to get a programmer's best guess at what an airline needs. So it's very, very important that you have the Jedi here who actually have the domain expertise that can really help the teams narrow down exactly what they're looking for.
It's up to the teams to leverage all the knowledge here. And when they do it, they will let go of their own assumptions and some of their biases. And when they allow that to happen, a new space is there to get inspiration and creativity for new approaches on the problem as well as the solution.
And that's all very fine, but what are people actually creating here? This rover, for example.
The idea is that this rover is able to collect data about the forest. So for example, soil conditions, biodiversity, to give the forest some type of self-awareness.
The internet backup, in case the internet breaks.
We're building a disaster recovery system, which essentially is a backup form of internet that activates when all of their systems go down.
A new digital public infrastructure.
Digital public infrastructure is products that aren't really served by traditional, fundraising mechanisms like venture capital or ICOs, for example, right? So it's really hard to fund open source projects because the revenue streams aren't really well known or understood, but they have huge communities around them of people who are contributing day after day, coding, designing, and just building in general. So our whole goal is to create a new financing mechanism to sustain, one, the people who are building towards that commons, who are growing and maintaining that commons, but also for investors to have a new way to actually make returns and to invest and to put their private capital into these open source projects in a way that they can't do right now.
Yeah, it's real, it's tangible.
This weekend is transformative for both the challenge holders and the teams, because the challenge holders, they don't know what they will get at the end of the weekend, and the teams, the right ones, end up with something very different than they had in mind in the beginning.
It all starts on Thursday, the welcoming day. There is an incredible amount of knowledge and expertise in town. This is shared through a multitude of masterclasses. Oh, and let's not forget the welcoming party. Great idea to do this before the hackathon starts, right? Friday, the opening of the hackathon. This weekend, a portal to the future will open. Teams validate the problem they want to solve with the challenge owners, the stakeholders, and experts. The teams connect with experts and find ways to collaborate with the other teams. Saturday, it's go time. Go, go, go! Building, validating, and pivoting. Not just the prototype, but also the pitches, the user interfaces, the plans, legal consequences, and potential partners for continuing after the hackathon. The clock, of course, keeps on ticking. Somehow, the Saturday night is much busier with teams working overnight. Sunday, get in early, finish up. At 12 o'clock sharp, we count down and stop coding. 20 jury panels assess 100 teams and their solutions within 2 hours. The best teams will collaborate with the challenge owners and stakeholders after the hackathon and celebrate. Monday. On Monday, it's time to decompress and reconvene with the best teams and challenge owners. The next months are all about starting an actual multi-stakeholder pilot. An ecosystem is ignited.
It takes a village to raise a child. It takes an entire ecosystem to usher incredible tech and get it in the hands of the people who use it and need it. And with that adoption, right, what you've built is really beautifully structured ASCII chunk.
Value proposition, customers, channels, monetization, all, and this is the way the hackathon has been structured. That's just great. That's the way it should be done.
When you look closely, you see there's much more going on than just building prototypes. What may appear as an utterly chaotic process without a predictable outcome is actually a carefully designed meeting. Take, for example, the impact canvas.
Everyone creates their own impact canvas, which kind of directly says, this is my idea, this is what we're trying to do, and this is what it will give the customer, the employer, everyone basically.
This tool has by now been tested by over 230 teams and helps them think deeper about the impact their prototype will have in the real world. Their solution will be much stronger. It's also a great conversation enabler. Speaking of which, the stickers and the balloons are really necessary. But balloons? What's with the bloody balloons?
The balloons are a trick to keep an overview. We reward the teams with balloons, of course. 0 balloons, team is not doing so well yet. 5, they're doing great. 0 balloons, they might need some assistance. 5, they might need an investor. Besides, it's just great fun.
Can you imagine grown-up people asking a challenge owner how they can score an extra balloon? It may sound funny, but it actually sparks a conversation on what kind of progress a team is making and where to dig further. Everything is in place to create a flow for everyone to reach unusual productivity levels, to support hyper-focus and interventions when needed, and breakthrough solutions, moving from hyper-competition to hyper-collaboration.
You know, it's great to lift each other up, but I love you so much more if you help me crack a real problem and you share with me yours, because when you're vulnerable and I'm vulnerable, real work gets done.
Because you've been here for so long and not many things can surprise you anymore, in a way. Coming here, there's so much freshness and energy, and that, I mean, energy is the key word that everybody is mentioning, but it is really true.
And if you're a regulator, to be able to be here, that's far better than a lobby group saying, we have to change the rules, because now they can actually feel it, be a part of it, and understand why it's necessary. And that doesn't happen anywhere else.
And people learn from us how we look at those business propositions, and we learn from them. And then we hope we can better supervise. So it's also for better quality supervision.
You realize how ignorant you are, and then how many more perspectives that can be out there and ways to collaborate to make things happen.
Well, I think this hackathon has a very developed and is still, I think, fine-tuning the model. So it's a very structured process. And I think once you got that really buttoned down, I think you can start doing it in other places as well. And you can scale this up, this hackathon, but you can actually do more thematic hackathons with partners in other parts of the world. So I really hope that this is going to be a movement that's going to support many new services, many new ideas of decentralized solutions in the future.
Having been here and seeing how people really care and try to think at a higher level, and that is needed. You cannot just be a follower. We really need to think about the consequences of what is happening to our planet, to our future at this moment. I have become a believer.